This is Chris Kell with our next presentation in our client education series, Home Workout 101. Okay, and I think the perception with home workouts is that, when you get out of a gym, we have limited options as far as equipment goes and, the things that we can do. And that's true in a lot of ways. We're not going to have, a barbell for these stability ball back squats available to us normally. God forbid we do anyway. But the point being is that the gym is a very limited environment, and the purpose of this presentation is to give you the tools and the know-how to get a better body in less than 10 minutes. And one thing that I always say to my clients is, there's always time to do something. So whether you have literally, 5 minutes or 60, you can still get a great workout. And in this presentation, we're going to show you how. So let's start by kind of looking at the reasons why people join gyms. Okay, people join gyms, they use the equipment. So, they do a basic routine and they see progress. But the problem being is that they perform the same routine over and over and over again, and they end up stalling out. And really what ends up happening is the body kind of senses what we're doing, and every time we do it, if it's just the same thing over and over and over, the body becomes more efficient at doing it, meaning it doesn't want to burn as many calories for the same exercise. So if you've been doing the same routine for a long time, your body recognizes that, and it's not gonna. That's why we're not seeing progress, is because it's become manageable. I can't stress this enough. With everything that we do, every time we come into the gym, there needs to be some variable of change, meaning stuff needs to become harder. We need to change it in some way. There is a middle ground. We don't want to change everything all the time, but we definitely need to make sure that we're giving our body variety in order to see a result. Oftentimes what I see ends up happening is people quit working out due to boredom or injury or just whatever. And really the biggest disconnects that I see is just a lack of understanding these basic principles. So this is what we want to talk about. So some facts about working out, okay? And this is for home exercise, but it's also just in general. In order to get in better shape, exercises must progress and get harder. All right, so you come into the gym, you start doing bicep curls, and you're using 15 pounds, okay? You're doing, let's say, 8 reps, all right? In 6 weeks, if you're still using 15 pounds and you're still doing 8 reps, your body is going to get to the point of diminishing returns very, very quickly, okay? By the same token, if you're coming in, you're doing cardio, and you're running at a 6.5, and then 4 weeks later you're still running at a 6.5. That's a big problem, because the body gets used to it and the body stagnates. All right, it's kind of like looking at the build between the differences in build between a sprinter and a marathon runner. Okay, the marathon runner is somebody that runs at a steady state. Okay, they're very fit, they're very efficient as far as their movement goes, but that's the problem. Okay, their body looks soft. Okay, because again, their whole goal is to become as efficient a steady state athlete as possible. Whereas a sprinter, they explode for 8 to 10 seconds. Their muscles are forced to do the maximum amount of work and then stop immediately. All right, they're chiseled, their muscles are striated. So we work different types of muscles by doing that, and that's kind of what we want. Is we want intensity over standing around. Okay, we can either have a workout that involves a lot of volume where I'm just kind of moving from thing to thing at a moderate pace, or I can go as hard as I can for a very limited period of time, and that's what I want for you, because that is what is going to change your body. Okay, so the second, and that leads into our second rule: perform circuit training versus standing around. Okay, so what I absolutely don't want to do is just stand around. So after I do a chest press, I'm just going to stand there afterwards and talk to my friend or text. No, you should be covered in sweat. Okay, you should be too tired to talk. All right, when you get done with that chest press, immediately you move to something else that is getting your heart rate up. All right, and then the third thing, and this is just in general, know what you're doing that day. Okay, if you come in and just decide to freestyle, you might end up at the squat rack doing curls, which is my pet peeve, because then I can't squat. Or maybe you're like, okay, I'll do legs, so I'm going to do the leg machine or whatever. For me, I want to know maybe a week in advance, like, this is my schedule. Okay, I'm doing total body today, tomorrow I'm doing cardio. So that way when you get in there, you have purpose. You know exactly what you're doing. You set a clock, you get in, you get out. I think a lot of time is wasted just because we don't know exactly what we're doing. And so, that doesn't mean that you have to have every exercise written down, but if you know you're doing cardio that day, get in there, push yourself as hard as you can, and if you have 15 minutes, say to yourself, I'm going to set my clock for 15 minutes, and I'm going to do as much as I physically can to get out, okay? And that's going to keep you accountable. It's going to ensure that you get the most bang for your buck possible. So when we look at a strength workout breakdown, okay, what does an effective strength workout look like? And this is for home as well as working out at the gym. All right, we want to push something, pull something, do something for our legs, do something for our core. All right, so with this presentation, we're going to include our exercise library with a lot of different demonstrations of these exercises. But when we're thinking about working out at home, we're thinking body weight. Okay, so push-ups, dips, things that we can do with a band. All of these are useful because I can do them in multiple settings. The other benefit of a push-up in particular is that I can vary a push-up a number of different ways. Okay, I can do it with my hands wider. I can do it with my hands close together. I could add a shoulder tap into it. And so I can infinitely make it different while still keeping it the same. And so kind of getting back to the principle of variety and changing things up. Maybe on the first day I'm doing just straight push-ups. On the second day I'm doing wide grip push-ups. And my third day I'm doing push-ups where I do a push-up and then I reach and tap my opposite shoulder. It's the same basic exercise, but because we are varying the pattern, our bodies don't recognize it as such. Okay, and that's an important consideration to make. Now with pulling is a little bit harder just because we have to use kind of an external thing to do that. But some exercises that I like or a crucial piece of equipment. Number one would be a TRX. Okay, TRX straps are something that we can, you can either buy TRX straps or they even have Gold's Gym TRX style straps at Walmart now, as low as I think it's like $15, and you can strap them into your doorway. But for those that aren't familiar with these, they're pull-up straps that we can use to do things like rows and flies and push-ups and different things. But they're great for TRX rows. Okay, and we'll send you a demonstration of this. But there are a number of different things that you can do with it. The band pullback, again, number of different things that I can do with a band. So there are a lot of benefit to that. Chin-ups as well. We can do things like jump to the top of a chin-up and hold at the top of a bar. We can do jumping up and lowering. We can jump up and just lower quickly. A lot of different things that we can do. And so for me, I'm looking at these exercises thinking, how many ways can I vary up this basic exercise that I can do at home? For legs, we can do things like squats, step-ups, hip lifts, single leg deadlifting, sprinting. Again, we'll send you some examples. And then for core, we have things like plank, dead bug, ab wheel rollouts. There are a lot of different examples. The point, though, is really the key with this is that we don't do them for I don't like doing them for certain sets and reps per se, like say 3 sets of 6 to 8. For home use, I like to put it in an interval format. The reason that is because, again, we can't increase the weight with a lot of this stuff, but what we can increase is the amount of times that we do it. So we can increase our work capacity. So, for example, if I say, all right, I have 10 minutes to work out, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a push-up, I'm going to do a squat, and I'm going to do a band pullback. So that for the first 30 seconds of my workout, I'm going to set a clock. I'm going to do 30 seconds of as many squats as I can do. Okay, so let's say I get 20 squats. All right, so then I rest for 30 seconds, and the next minute I'm going to do as many push-ups as I can do. So then I get 15 push-ups. All right, so I'm going back and forth between those 2 or 3. So the next time I do it, I go back to squats and I say, okay, I got 24 last time. The goal is to beat 24. And so instead, maybe I get 25. Okay, and I go back to push-ups, and the same idea is true. So for us, looking at that, you can track that per workout. You can also track it over a long period of time. And so the idea would be the goal would be to pack more work into the same amount of time. Okay, and so that way, if on day 1 you can get 15 push-ups in 30 seconds, but then on day 30, you can get maybe 25 push-ups in 30 seconds. You're definitely in better shape because, again, you've packed more work into the same amount of time, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Now, when it comes to circuit training, and so that's interval training, as I get better at that, I can progress from something like 30 seconds of work and 30 seconds of rest to more work and less rest. So I'd say, maybe I do 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, and then eventually, I go beast mode and I do 50 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, which is really exerting. Okay, so there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. All right, so when we talk about circuit training, we say I have 8x8 minutes. Okay, so what that means is that instead of doing as many as we can, we say I'm going to do 8 push-ups, 8 band pullbacks, 8 squats, and 8 maybe 8 dead bug variation of some kind, right? So the idea would be, I go through the circuit once, and or I repeat that circuit as many times as I can in 8 minutes. Okay, so 8 reps of each thing, back to back. I only rest when I need to. And let's say I get through the whole circuit 3 times in a period of 8 minutes. All right. The next time I do that, then the goal would be to get 4 or 5 rounds again. So I'm packing more work into the same amount of time. And for us, it's just the idea of work capacity. If we can do more work in the same amount of time, I've gotten in better shape. Okay, and the beauty of that is, you can play around with the different exercises. You can put things in and out. What I like to do is I'll pick 3 exercises for the week. I'll stick with them until I start to plateau, meaning I'm not getting more, and then I'll sub them out and I'll do some different things. Now, when it comes to our metabolic workout, we can have things like we want to look at more total body exercises. Okay, so things that distribute force amongst more portions of our body, right? So like whereas I do a push-up, and the push-up is working my chest, and eventually is going to burn out my chest pretty quick. With metabolic exercises or total body exercises, we're just trying to do as much as we can. So, we're just trying to move as quickly as possible, not necessarily burn out a particular body part. So with a burpee, for example, burpee's not going to burn out my chest. It's going to kind of burn everywhere, but I can do more. Okay, jumping jacks, airdyne sprint, stair climber, all of those things are things that are getting my heart rate up. But again, I just want to pick the thing that I can do fastest. Okay, so or as fast as I possibly can. And so the same rules apply. I like interval training a little bit more for these, just because you can move a lot faster. But what I would recommend is maybe pick 1 to 2 that you can go through and again keep track of your numbers. So if I do burpees, which are a little bit more upper body dominant in that my upper body is pretty weight bearing there, maybe I do burpees and jumping jacks back to back. So in round 1 I'm getting 30 seconds of burpees. I do maybe 15. All right. Round 2 I do 50 jumping jacks. Okay. Round 3 I want to beat that 15 number. So I try to get 16 or 17, and and from there I'm trying to get more jumping jacks. And so as you can see, just keeping track of those and really pushing yourself. And keep in mind, you don't have to do that, but I find it to be motivating, and I find it something that when I can quantify myself getting better, for me that's helpful. So if we're looking at a weekly workout schedule, we're looking at strength on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And actually Sunday's a typo. I'd give you Sunday off. I think everybody needs a rest day, complete rest day. Whereas Tuesday, Thursday are metabolic days. Okay, and this is kind of the way our boot camp is set up. All right, we have strength in our fitness programs as well. We have strength on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, we're doing stuff that's a little bit more physical, that's a little bit more cardiovascular based. It's actually going to help our bodies to recover. But if I work strength every day, my body is going to suffer from some burnout that we'll talk about in a minute. The key with this is that we're alternating these two things. Okay, and so like for example, if you don't get to boot camp one day, let's say something happens, right? Instead, you do maybe a 10 to 20 minute strength workout, as we described. If on Tuesday you can't go, run the lake or do traditional cardio, you do our interval training session with a total body exercise. Or, if you really want to step it up and burn some body fat, you do the interval training session and then you go run, because that's going to help you to burn body fat better. This is kind of the optimal schedule that I'm looking for all of my clients. And I think that, again, Sunday is our rest day, but other than that, if you're doing pretty hard cardio 3 days a week and you're doing strength 3 days a week, your body will fall into line, even if you are just working out for 10 minutes. But again, you can always do something. So if you don't get to the gym, try to do this at home. Okay, that's going to be key. So one of the big things with this presentation that I'm just going to touch upon briefly is recovery. That's why I said, we want to do different things on a daily basis. We don't want to do strength every day because my body gets overloaded. Okay, so when I do strength training or I do any kind of exercise, what ends up happening is if I pass a certain threshold of intensity, my body goes into what is called an alarm phase, where I break my muscles down or I break down my capacity. So my body increases my resistance to that to get stronger. So for example, I do maybe 10 push-ups on Monday. I rest for a couple days. I get, I'm sore, but I recover and I get a little bit stronger. So the next time I do that, I'm able to do 12 push-ups instead of 10. But the problem is if I keep doing the same thing every day, I get into exhaustion where my body's recovery mechanisms have now been overwhelmed. So at this point, we get weaker because of inadequate recovery. But what I want you to realize is that stress, whether it be physical stress like working out at the gym, and mental stress. Okay, we get into a fight with our spouse, or our kid throws up on us, or our boyfriend breaks up with us, or whatever. That's going to affect our body in the same way. Okay, so that's really going to be a key thing to consider. So if you've had a really bad day, you've lost your job, or you got into a wreck or whatever, and you're coming in and you're like, I'm going to hit the gym hard, you might want to reconsider that, just because your body's already in a state of a lot of stress, and if just piling on that stress might not be the best idea. So if you feel, one question I always ask my clients, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel today? If you're like a 5 or 6, go at 50%. Do something, but keep in mind that the more stress you pile on your body, sometimes that's going to push you over the cliff. All right, so really be cognizant of that and just know your own body. And so some things to look at with this, if you're in a highly stressful job, you do a lot of repetitive exercises like squats, lunges, running, you spend 6 to 7 training days without a break, and your workouts last more than 60 minutes. Again, these are all things that are going to lead to overtraining. And some signs of that, we have feelings of burnout, frequent sickness, excessive physical and mental fatigue, and chronic injury. So like stuff that didn't hurt before will start to hurt. And, again, you're going to start to notice just breakdown where you did not before. And so a recap of what we're talking about. And again, we're going to send you videos. We're going to kind of give you some more information as far as to how this works. But number one is you want to perform your cardio circuits in your off days. All right. So if you're not coming to class, if you're not coming to our cardio class, I want you to do at least 10 minutes of interval training. That's a best practice. That's going to help you. And I'm going to include a couple examples of what that looks like. All right. You only need to do 10 minutes. All right. So spend 10 minutes. Work as hard as you possibly can, as opposed to going for 60 minutes at a half pace. All right. If you can't make it to class for whatever reason, you want to perform 10 minutes of strength training. Okay. And then when we are talking about metabolic exercises, pick something that's total body in nature and repeat. Okay. If we're talking about strength, pick one exercise from each of the categories described, and you're off to the races.